Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. One of the standout success stories in the fintech space over the last decade has been Australian startup Airwallex. Although it's no longer a startup, payments business Airwallex has moved well beyond that, having raised more than $900 million in venture capital funding since it was founded in 2015. It now has more than 100,000 business customers globally and is growing revenue quickly with 120% year on year for the first half. At its core, Airwallex has built a platform and network for international payments, allowing it to challenge the banks on pricing, and they've expanded into other offerings as well. Remember, this is general information only, and you should seek professional advice before making any investment decision. Luke Latham is the Managing Director for Australia New Zealand at Airwallex, which is a great supporter of this podcast. Luke, welcome to Fear and Greed.
It's great to be here, Sean. Thank you for having me.
So give us some background first. Take me through what Airwallex does. It started as a payments business, right?
Yeah, well, Airwallex at its core is an infrastructure company, and the initial problem statement the founders attempted to solve pretty successfully, in my opinion, was to replace the legacy money movement networks that exist out there like SWIFT to enable business customers, particularly SMBs, to access more cost-effective and timely money movement services with global reach. Fast forward to today, not only have we really extended on that infrastructure superpower, but we offer a suite of financial products and APIs that enable you to solve any money movement problem that you can think of, essentially. So whether that is collecting funds from your customers, whether that is managing your funds in the form of global accounts, in the form of treasury management and currency conversion, or now in the form of monetization through new products like the yield products we've just launched, we'll spend that money and pay out to your suppliers anywhere in the world. We have a global reach spanning over 160 currencies that can be transacted in over 180 countries.
Luke, I mentioned this off air. I have a number of smaller businesses, and one of them uses Airwallex, and it works really well. In fact, we only started, it's a US business, and we started that and we put $1 through and it happened instantaneously. The question that my partners had, and I have to you, is how do you actually do it? Like, how come Airwallex provides cheaper payments globally when the banks have been in this space forever?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think it points to where the business started. They started at the source of the issue in terms of cost and time inefficiency in the legacy network, and that was the infrastructure, the rails that money moves on. And by building your own network for money movement, you're replacing a whole suite of intermediaries who have been adding to processing times and taking a clip of the ticket on the way through. And by building that network globally, we're able to provide that service in a way that really hasn't been seen in the traditional banking sector.
Okay, so who are your customers? You mentioned SMBs there.
Yeah, the origin of the business was definitely targeted towards SMBs because if you think about the ability to access cost efficiencies and get a premium service level with the banks, SMBs have effectively been ignored. The big end of town, they typically get a better level of service and have better negotiating power given the volumes they're putting through. And that was the inefficiency that our founders originally identified. But fast forward to today, the platform has the scale and sophistication that solves all number of use cases. We're still servicing the needs of small businesses, including anywhere from sole traders all the way up to some of the largest enterprises in the world. And we're pretty proud to see even marquee Australian brands like Qantas building financial products entirely on the Airwallex platform.
So what do Qantas do with you?
So the Qantas's entire business rewards program, so their B2B loyalty program, runs on the Airwallex platform.
Okay, so you're going to have to expand this for me because Airwallex is obviously, it's a platform for obviously financial transactions, but it goes beyond that, it sounds.
Yeah, so being infrastructure first, but API driven, we have the ability to plug any of our financial products and services into the applications or services of our customers, whether they are financial or not. So in the instance of a customer like Qantas, they are able to issue Airwallex cards, access Airwallex transactional account infrastructure, process foreign currency transactions, all of the services that we can provide directly to our business customers, they are then able to provide those services to their customers as well in a B2B2B type offering via embedded finance use cases like their loyalty program.
Okay, so it's like a white label product that you're providing Qantas to provide their customers.
Effectively, yes.
Stay with me, Luke. We'll be back in a minute. My guest today is Luke Latham, Managing Director for Australia New Zealand at Airwallex. Now, look, you mentioned yield a moment ago. What is it exactly?
That is a great question, and we're pretty excited about this launch. I think if we think about the portfolio of services that Airwallex has built, one of the questions we continue to ask ourselves is, well, for the customers who are really all in on Airwallex, they're raving fans, what is a reason that we are creating for them to continue to use a legacy provider? And up until recently, a very valid reason for that would be the inability to earn a rate on their deposits with Airwallex. So if they are holding dormant balances of working capital in their Airwallex accounts, up until the launch of Yield, there hasn't been the ability for them to monetize those deposits to earn a rate. And so they might otherwise be transferring out of Airwallex, seeking a comparable interest-based or yield product via a traditional bank or otherwise. We've now created a reason for them to continue to keep all of their Airwallex funds within our platform in the Airwallex network via the launch of Yield. So Yield is a managed investment scheme that offers our customers exposure to money market funds being invested in and managed by JP Morgan so that they can earn a really competitive rate on their deposits with us. And so we are offering 3.39% on AUD deposits, and perhaps most interestingly, and this is a big point of differentiation in the Australian market, we're able to offer a yield on USD deposits as well. And so we're offering 4.07% on USD balances. And based on our analysis, that is more than double the average rate that customers are able to access in the Australian market currently via traditional providers.
I'm going to ask the same question as I asked a moment ago, and you're probably going to give me the same answer. How? How can you offer a yield twice the rate of the banks?
Well, it's a pretty creative instrument. These money market funds aren't new, but the ability to access the exposure to them without having to have a wholesale investment within them, I think is a creative nuance to the yield product. And it must be said, this isn't an interest-bearing product. This isn't a product like a traditional term deposit. This is exposure to and the underlying assets that our investment partner JP Morgan is investing within, which are high liquidity, low risk money market funds. And so it's the exposure to that investment portfolio that our customers are able to access, but they're able to do so by keeping their funds at call. If you think about a point of frustration that even consumers, let alone businesses, have had with traditional term deposits, it's your money gets locked away. It gets locked away for a fixed term. And typically, if you want to get it out to react to any of your operational requirements as a business, there's going to be fees slapped on top of that. And, perhaps most importantly, in the current interest rate environment, you can see there's a pretty significant delta between the rates that the banks are foreseeably earning on their lending side of their business to what they're paying out to their customers via the rates on their deposits, particularly for business customers. And this is an obvious gap in the market that we're pretty excited to be offering to our customers.
The customers that'll take this up presumably will be anyone with a decent balance sitting in their account.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so for the introductory phase of the fund, we are requiring a $500,000 minimum deposit amount in USD or USD equivalent in AUD. Our aspiration, once we get the product fully ramped up, is to remove that hurdle entirely, and all going well, that should be in the early part of 2024.
Fantastic. So the final question is fees. How does Airwallex itself make its money? Is it, obviously it's fee-based, but how do you charge fees?
So in the vast majority of instances, we're not like other payments or transactional companies that when a transaction is processed or a payment is processed, there is a fee incurred on the processing of that fee. And so it's very much a volume-based game. If you are accessing some of the more sophisticated services offered by the platform, such as the embedded finance use case we alluded to before, there can be a platform fee associated with that. But the vast majority of the economics is underpinned by the transaction volume, or again, in the FX world, the spreads that we're able to generate on processing foreign currency transactions.
Okay, 100,000 business customers globally now. What's the goal?
Look, I don't have a number in mind, but I can tell you with a set of fresh eyes, we haven't even scratched the surface, particularly at that genuine, mid-market and enterprise customer segment. So with the pace of product development and the awareness and reach we already have, I don't see the business slowing down anytime soon. As you pointed out, We're growing at a pretty impressive clip at the moment with 120% year over year through Q3 of this year. And, I would only expect that to accelerate in the next 3 to 5 years.
Luke, thank you for talking to Fear and Greed.
Thank you, Sean. It's great to be here.
That was Luke Latham, Managing Director for Australia, New Zealand at Airwallex, which is a great supporter of this podcast. This is the Fear and Greed business interview. Remember, this is general information only, and you should seek professional advice before making investment decisions. Join us every morning for the full episode of Fear and Greed, Australia's best business podcast. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.